Yeah, cheers, dog.
Cheers.
I know. So it's yeah. So this is our first kind of little sit down at the shop. You know, we've done a bunch of these on the road. Hamilton's been super helpful with all of those, and you know, because I'm at the track and I'm kind of running around trying to make things, you know, I don't want to say make things happen, but keep things moving, right? And Nate's like, we should do an interview with Farron, and we should do an interview with, you know, Tanner, and I'm like, these are great ideas, because I'm just like focused on other stuff. And so we actually wanted to do them here in the shop, and to be honest, I haven't taken the time to do it. I got us real close. Oh yeah, yeah. There's things I know. Jackson wouldn't believe it. I'm like barely here.
No, I believe it. I know things happen.
Yeah, and like we had the lights. I got the lights set up. Oh god, we did that like 3 months ago.
Dude, I think it's even longer than that.
Dude, the lights have been set up for a minute.
3 months ago was what, October? They've definitely been there longer.
3 months ago, people were on Christmas break still.
Yeah.
That's at least the way it feels.
Yeah.
This has like been an eternity for people coming back to work. It's been like, great song. I gotta give that one to Sam. Sam always would do that. Anytime someone would be like, it's been, it's like, it's been.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. And so, no, we've been like just punching and grinding, trying to like get 2025 going. We just talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago maybe at this point, whenever this video goes up. Yeah, it's like silly season, trying to get things going. Jackson's been just super holding it down at the shop. He's the #1 guy here at the shop, just getting the builds done, keeping the race cars going. We have a pretty rad build coming together right now that probably by the time this is out, I think the next videos will be that. So
should be,
yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, so it's actually like leading right into it. Yeah. If things are on schedule and on pace.
Yeah, we'll see how this ages.
We've been embargoing the footage of the recent build, and I think people are going to be stoked. It is one of a kind. Well, I take that back. There's a lot of these. But not a one in the States.
Yeah, one of a kind in the States.
Yeah, first of its kind in the States is where we're going with that. So if that gives you any clues, you know, go for it. But yeah, no, this is going to be a fun one to debut here in the next week or two. So we're trying to get it together, get it going. We are struggling with the international shipping. It's crazy right now.
Yeah,
I don't understand what the problem is.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like COVID all over again, it feels like.
Yeah.
Things are just stuck.
Yeah.
Like, so.
And then the holiday break didn't help, so
No.
between people being unresponsive and or things being closed.
Yeah.
So that's been like a big issue with it. But yeah, outside of that, just like I said, awesome projects coming together. 25 coming together. We got like fun builds and projects and ideas. New changes on the race car.
Yep.
Doing big changes on the race car.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
I know Jackson had a couple ideas, and so I was like, all right, well, we can give that a go.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then well, you have a little bit of exciting news on your end.
Yeah. So, some of you. Well, I guess I should introduce myself, Chris.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. I know. I didn't even say your full
Chris
name.
has
like Jackson.
Yeah, I mean I've been around for a little while.
Been on the
at this
videos.
point, but yeah.
I think people know who you are at this
They know.
point.
I
Yeah,
think
Jackson
I hope
Orr's
so.
been popping up.
Yeah,
If you
my
don't
name's
know
Jackson
who
Orr.
Jackson Orr is at this point,
That is
shame
this
on
is
you.
I. Yeah,
This is your fault.
This is a you problem now. Yeah. No, but I've been working with Chris now full time for a year and a half, which is crazy. Can't believe it's actually been that long.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about it because it's like first of the year again. To like sidebar for a second, I literally just got my spot here a year ago, like last week, and that feels like that was like yesterday.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, so I've been working with Chris for like a year and a half. I was drifting beforehand before I met Chris, and that's a whole long backstory there. But anyway, so I put a lot of
I think we're all here for the backstory. Is the whole point.
Okay,
But we'll get there. We'll get there.
You want to? Yeah.
We're doing the short bio right now.
Yeah, we'll unwrap.
We're at the
it
top of
later.
the IMDb
It's like an
right
onion.
now.
It's like an onion. We're getting the the crunchy layer that nobody eats off. We're gonna get that off right now. So, anyways, I've been with Chris for a year and a half. I just recently got my own shop space.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I could throw a rock and hit it from Chris's shop, which is awesome.
Which is rad.
So we can kind of share some resources, and it's really convenient for time's sakes too, because it's like literally today, he probably didn't even notice because he was doing things. I ran over.
Didn't even.
I literally ran over, got a quote to get my front door tinted, and accepted a delivery. And it was like a 5-minute ordeal. So,
That's awesome.
Anyways, it's really
break stuff.
yeah, it's really exciting stuff. I'm getting the space set up now. I'm gonna be sharing it with a guy who talks funny from Australia.
Yeah,
Drives a
mate.
purple car.
Yep.
He's a great guy. No, seriously. But Jason Farron and I will be sharing the space. He's got a really exciting year coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some cool plans to get my car back in action, to be driving a car with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of splitting duty. Hopefully it all pans out with some schedules and stuff.
Ideal a little more than the 240 was last year.
Yeah, hopefully. That thing held it down, though.
It did. It did.
I mean, considering what it was going up against.
The little K that could.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thing did.
Got a podium on the first round, I want to say. Yeah, the first round of Drift League.
Yeah.
And some notable finishes otherwise, but it was. I mean, that car is not supposed to be in competition.
No.
Like we literally show up with one bin of spares.
Yeah. Dude, but the bin is. I wish we could show the bin. The bin is hilarious.
The bin has like.
There's a fire extinguisher in the bin for an example of what our spares look like.
The package that we're showing up with. But that's like all I've ever had with that car. It was always very reliable until I moved from Maryland back to California. So the history on that car, real quick, is myself and Drift Alliance, right? So Vaughn, Tony, and Turk and myself, we bought that car to do a Lemons race.
Okay.
And so we built that car to do a Lemons race, which we got black flagged from for multiple reasons. Yeah, multiple reasons. Got a couple black flags, had to write a bunch of shit on the car, right? They make you do that.
Yeah.
And I think they were razzing us because we were like the race car guys, right?
Right.
Anyway, so then I hit the three of them up and I was like, hey, like I want to keep the 240, I want to make it a little missile car. And this was like before like missile cars was like a thing in the States. It was pretty cool.
Cool.
I like saw it kind of happening in Japan. You know, guys would like beat up cars. And so I paid them their quarters. I kept the car, I put a turbo on the KA and just started mobbing the crap out of it.
Sick.
And then
I didn't know that was the origin of that thing.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
so then I sent it off to the East Coast, and it was my E-Town car, and that was like, you know, what we did like Hoonigan videos with, like Bloodmasters videos with, and like all that fun stuff. And then I left it there when I moved back to California, and it's just been like kind of falling apart since. So I shipped it out here.
Decaying ever since.
Shipped it out here to kind of like get the motor fixed and get things up to date on it. And then lo and behold, we're like, well, it was actually Liz. She was like, why don't you just let Jackson drive the 240, like at the Pro-Am events? And so we're like, yeah, go for it. So we got it fired up and running, and he ripped that thing all last season, which was not the plan.
No.
At all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It was not. But we robbed parts from my car, from your cars, from like storage racks, and actually improved that thing quite a bit now. I mean, that thing is like super reliable at this point. We did a like revamped cooling system on it, did a new turbo.
Makes more power.
Yeah, it makes more power than it ever did. It's got coilovers, angle kit, dual calipers.
Yeah.
All stuff that has happened since he's driven it.
And I haven't driven it on any of it.
I've literally been thinking about it. I was like, I think I'm gonna steal that thing away to my shop, doctor it up, and get it all pretty for you, and bring it back as a thank you.
Yeah.
So.
It does need to get cleaned up, and it will be going back to E-Town so that we
Yeah.
can do more stuff at E-Town. And we're working on. And then we have Bones, which is the Z that you guys probably seen in other videos. That is the car that we're trying to get built for this season, which will be like our SoCal-based all-new Z for like shows, events, demos, videos, as well as a little Pro-Am mob car that Jackson can rip.
Yeah, man, that thing, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
It's going to be super, super solid. We have a demo car that's basically the same exact recipe.
And
the chassis is
shreds.
very slightly different, but as far as the drivetrain, it's the same recipe.
And it shreds.
Yeah,
I think it's
we
so
just
good.
turn it on. Literally put it away wet every time, and it fires right back up, and it's good to go.
That is my absolute most reliable car.
Yeah.
It doesn't give a shit.
And everybody on the internet's always like, BQ, boo, BQ is bad. Like, no,
Dude.
that thing's...
VQ
Isn't that
from
the
like
same
5 to VQ from like 5 to 700, maybe even 800 horsepower is awesome.
Yeah. I think it's been in there for like 6 years, right?
It's
Maybe longer.
been going. Yeah, it went for
Wooden table here,
it went for a few years. We did have to get a new motor built for it because now that it's on like full demo status and not just like a shoot here and there, because we put it on the road this year for grid life, and so it's like we definitely had to kind of like have it be reliable because when it goes out and back, you can kind of push the limits a little bit, but when you like send it out for like 4 or 5 rounds, it's like okay, we gotta make sure it's gonna run that whole time. So we definitely had to kind of change the program up a little bit, but yeah, so that is probably going to be the same game plan we do for Bones. Yeah, I think it's good. It's a good package.
It is a good package.
Yeah,
it's reliable.
And you were never a Nissan guy.
No.
Yeah,
no, I never was. I never claimed to be. I noticed I didn't say that I'm not. I don't know, they're growing on me. I think for me it was like, I honestly, if 240s didn't get priced out so far when I was coming into cars, I probably would have been more into Nissans. Like, legitimately, it's an economic thing of why I wasn't into them.
It makes sense, yeah, because
that's why I'm into E36s, because they were my generation's S chassis. It's like $500.
Well, when you think about it, when you put it that way, I never really thought about this until now. Because the S chassis, they were like the kings, right? Like everyone says like, oh, the Corollas, but that was like, yes and no. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. And so the S chassis were the cars, right, at the time. The problem is they come with very low horsepower, right? So do BMWs, but at least they have a 6-cylinder.
Yeah, it's a 6-cylinder.
So you're up ahead a little bit.
Yeah, it's like 170 or something.
Yeah, but the problem is then Nissan, they had the S chassis, and then they went away at least stateside in '98. I mean, they went away in '98, and then there was a gap, and then the 350 came out in 2003, right? So there was no real good Nissan drift car for, what is that, 5-6 years? Yeah. And that's like right where the E36 is. So in the grand scheme of like cost and availability, that's how those BMWs became so popular. It makes a lot of sense. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I bought my first BMW, I actually was looking at a S14 like OEM kooky, and like owned by a grandma, like the typical thing you wanna buy a 240, the typical scenario you wanna buy one in, and it was like $4,500 or $5,000 at that point, and then my E30, my first BMW, was right around the same price, and I was going to go buy that 240, and it sold, and if that didn't happen, I probably would have been a Nissan guy. But it was like from that moment, it was like once I bought that E30, a couple more years surpassed before I bought anything else, and then the prices just like.
That's funny.
Took off.
I was almost a solely Nissan guy because my first car was an '88 Mazda RX-7. Yeah. And it was super clean build. It was like $5,500. Had like 50,000 miles on it. Had exhaust. Nice. It was like super cool. But the car I was looking at right before that was a red S14 at the dealership in my town. Yeah. And I was like looking at like turbo kits you could buy for them, and like I almost got that car. But I couldn't afford it, right? Because it was like a '97 S14 with like probably 8,000 miles on it,
Pretty new car.
Yeah, it was like a really nice car. Like when I think about it, because I was like, wait, that was like in '99. That car was basically
a brand new car.
It was like a trade-in. It was like a lease trade-in.
Yeah, somebody came to get a 4Runner instead. Yeah.
Whoa!
Pathfinder. Sorry. Off-brand.
But and so then I found that RX-7 for like $5,500, and I was like, this is my car.
It's a solid car.
And it was good. I had that one for a couple years, and then I sold that and I got the Z in '03. Yeah. But yeah, so you had you have an E30. No.
Yes.
No, it's E30.
I do have. Well, I have
a 4-door E30.
No, it's a 2-door.
It is 2-door.
I have one of each. You
gotta bring it out here so I know what it is. I've seen like one photo of it.
Yeah, I don't really talk about it that much because it makes me sad because it's not here. But no, that was my like first car that I built, I guess I could say, because like it wasn't my first car. It was like, I got the hand-me-down truck from my dad. It was my grandpa's. That was the first one. We don't have to talk about that. It's not exciting. And then well,
everybody gets a hand-me-down truck from the brother or the dad.
My brother did drive it first.
There you go.
And so
that was mine. Yeah.
It did the whole lineage. And so then the first one that I bought with my own money was that E30. So 1989 E30. So if anybody knows them, it's the late model. So it has the plastic bumpers. It's not like the big metal diving board bumpers is what everybody calls them. So plastic bumpers, I think that's the last year.
Those are bumper bumpers.
Yeah,
Like
those have shocks in them.
They have shocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they turn into 5-mile-an-hour bumpers.
Yeah. Just bumper bars. Yeah.
So yeah, like if you look back, because that's what the 75, so the 280Z is when they first did the bumper bumpers.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That car was?
Yeah.
Or that?
Well, no. I don't mean to say that car for that chassis.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, like that's why everybody converts them back to the 240Z because they have a little thin like steel bumper. But yeah, so for those that don't know, mid-late 70s into the 80s, bumpers used to be like super bulky and they had shocks in them. Yep. So you could bump into things.
Yeah, you could bump it with stuff.
You could parallel park like a maniac.
I had to replace one of those in that car when I bought it. One of it was like the front end was like like somebody had bumped something and it stuck.
Oh my god.
Bought a new bumper shock off of eBay for like $130, put it in and it was straight again.
There you go. That's good.
But yeah, that was the first car that I like built. I did like I actually used to deliver pizza in it, and I got in a wreck.
Yes.
So yeah, I was a pizza,
not the wreck part.
I was a pizza boy in high school for like
streets closed pizza boy.
A little while, probably like 2 years, and it was it was kind of fun. It was a cool job.
That's cool.
And
never did pizza delivery.
In high school, it was cool at least. It would be cool now.
Did you ever work in a restaurant?
Yeah, I worked so I worked there, but then towards the end of working there, I got transitioned to like front of house stuff.
Okay.
Because I was nice. Mistake. Shouldn't have been nice.
Could've fooled me.
Well, the bad part about it is you lose all your tips. I went from making like $100 a night in cash tips delivery driving to like 10 being super nice to all these grannies and cleaning up after them. Like that was lame. So,
that's a good point.
I was never a server or like a sit down restaurant.
Okay. But pizza delivery, see, I've never done anything like that.
Yeah.
That's like a whole different kind of like customer like service.
Dude, it gets weird.
You're rushing, you're in a hurry,
weird.
people want their pizza.
Yeah.
30 minutes or less.
People get angry.
That's what I'm saying. That's
angry.
So that's still the service industry.
Yeah.
It's very similar. You're just a server with a vehicle.
Yeah, definitely. But I almost feel like the wrath could almost be amplified because they're not in a public setting. Mm-hmm. So that if they're yelling at you, they're gonna look like a real jackass. Like,
yeah,
you just open your front door and they're like, well, it's about time. They can go downhill pretty quick. So
yeah, they feel a lot more comfortable in their own space.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not good.
So yeah, but
it's very conducive to yelling.
Yes, exactly. Making a scene. But,
oh man.
No, so that was the origin of that car. Anyways, got in a wreck. Had to fix the car.
Yeah. So
that was what prompted me to paint it because it was beforehand. It was just like original paint, kind of faded, kind of rough. And I was like, okay, well, I got wrecked, so I started buying I bought like a front bumper. And when I was researching the front bumper, I was like, oh, they have this like IS lip kit because it was a 325i. The IS was like the sport trim, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And they have a Euro trim kit that I bought from like CA Tune, some guy out here in California actually that has like a E30 like marketplace basically at this point. And I bought some parts for it, got it painted, and then like put some wheels on it and like cut springs, just made it look as good as I could with the money I had at that time. And then it progressed a little bit more. I ended up doing like an air ride suspension on it, got like 3-piece wheels for it. Did some cool stuff with it, and then just drove it for a while. And now it's parked. It's at my place in Ohio where I came from before here. So it's literally just sitting there. I saw it when I went back for holidays.
At a friend's shop? Because you had a shop out there.
Yeah.
You said you closed it up?
Yeah. I didn't close it up. I just basically leapfrogged it to the guy that was sharing it with me.
Got it.
And
so it's still at the same shop.
Still the same place.
That makes sense.
But like everything around it, because that's where my 36 and E30 were together. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of cleaned everything out.
The E36 is here now.
E36 is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
in California.
Yeah. And you were going to get that one rebuilt to try and run some of the Midwest, right?
Yep.
Pro-Ams.
Yep. So it being January, whatever it is, 7th. Anyways, beginning of January. What is it? Oh, it is the 7th. Wow.
Look at that.
That's rare. I don't see the light very often, so I don't know. I'm joking. I'm kidding. But with it being early in the year, I don't have obviously all the event schedules out yet. So it's pretty challenging. I mean, it's challenging as it is, obviously, to coordinate, for us, doing FD, Grid Life, and some other demo events like ZCon and some of the other things that we do. it's hard enough to coordinate those and manage to not intersect. I mean, Grid Life and FD are very aware of each other at this point, so they try to work together. But so working around our schedule with Forsberg Racing and just kind of seeing what options are out there. But it's looking like I'm probably going to be going to North Dakota. That's the one. So
it's
Indy
good comps out there, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. Indy Drift puts on a really good comp. I drove there in 2022, I think, with the E36.
Yeah.
I drove the 10K competition they used to do. They had the coolest trophy ever. They still do. It's literally like a WWE style wrestling.
I love it.
It's the coolest thing ever. My boy Jacob Anderson has 2 of those. Shout out to him. He's another E36 guy that we drove together all the time. But
there you go.
Anyway, so that's the plan for this year. If the schedules line up, that's what it looks like it will. But, we kind of talked about it. It starts. The nice thing about them being so far north is that everything's pushed back a little bit. So I think their first Pro-Am event that I'd be driving in is like June timeframe.
That's awesome.
So it gives a little buffer because
it's like an eternity from now.
Yeah, exactly. Feels like it. It'll be here in like 2 weeks, but
yeah.
But because in SoCal, like everything starts up like first week of March. It's like all right, season's back on.
Let's go racing.
So
I know people are at the track on New Year's Day.
Yeah, it's a cool thing, but it's also kind of like you never have an off season, so you got to be like, all right, I'm gonna actually stop driving for a minute.
The pros and cons of California is there's like events happening all the time.
Yeah.
And so like with it being non-stop, it's difficult to find that rebuild time, get the cars back together. You know, you gotta just like pick what events you're gonna miss, right?
Yeah.
And so you drag the E36 out here. You want to get that thing kind of cleaned up, tuned up. Pretty similar to like my 240. It's like you try and have other people work on it, but it doesn't really work out the same as what you think.
No, it didn't work out the same, and I left off at a point like when I got hooked up with you and worked at Orlando in 23.
Yeah.
Orlando 23 was like like I literally think I worked on that car before I went to that event, and I don't think I worked on that car since.
Oh my god.
I think it was like the Wednesday before I went to that event at FD. I worked on it, and then from that point basically got almost no progress done on it anyways. But it was a working Pro-Am car, and then I took it down. I wanted to do some more of those serious competition upgrades.
Making me feel bad, Jackson.
No. It was for good reason. There's not very many things, I guess I could put it this way, there's not very many things that I would have put that car aside for. So I certainly recognize the
it's cool.
The opportunity.
Take
So, yeah. Gotta reel him back in.
You ruined my Pro-Am career.
Maybe hang it up early. You forced me into early retirement. But no,
trying to help you. Stay here as long as you can. Just enjoy drifting. Don't compete.
Don't ruin it for yourself.
Oh my god.
Anyways.
So back to finishing all these competition cars up.
Yeah, it's funny how
mine, yours, your other one, my other one.
Yeah. That's how it happens.
But the space right across the way, it's rad. Like, because we were talking about trying to, work it out here, but it's like we're kind of to the gills.
Yeah,
we're kind of tight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a matter of Jackson not having his car here. It was just the fact that we will not allow BMWs in this shop.
So in a roundabout way, it was.
No, we're just like always so packed, and because Dylan had his program here, and then like when we were both kind of moving up at the same time, like we were just tripping over everything and everywhere. It's tough to run multiple, especially when it gets into like that type of program more than just like a build, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like there's more than one bin of spare parts typically.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot more that goes to it. Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you got trailers, you got other bits, and so it's so it's awesome that you're able to kind of find that spot. So it's like a little bit of an extension, but yeah, it's still in the same cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
So that's worked out really, really well.
Yeah, it's incredible, really.
And then and Jason was looking for a spot, so that timed out well for him, being able to jump in on that, which kind of cuts down your overhead.
Yeah.
So
cuts down
good
for
things.
both of us.
Yeah.
Because it's
helps him, helps you, helps me.
Yep.
So it's all good all around.
Yeah, and it's exciting. We got a little cul-de-sac of.
Yeah. I know. We're gonna have to start partying soon.
Yeah, we are. We recently had a neighbor get demolished, basically. Like actually demolished the building, but so there's an open lot here now. So.
Yeah. So the good and bad of that was our next door neighbors. It was like a metal shop. Like they made fences.
Yeah.
Right.
Like ornate.
Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
And it was annoying because those 4.5s would fire up at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And then they would not stop until like 6 o'clock at night.
At least,
right?
Yeah.
Until they all just started cracking beers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would crank the music up and then do it again tomorrow.
Yep.
And that was like that for the past 5 years. Well, Les was telling me that they were there before he was.
No way.
Yeah. He's like, that shop's been there for like decades. And we're having a big sale on shop.forsbergracing.com. So hop on there to grab our last pieces of merch before we line up our 2025 new gear, where you have a few keychains left, some more shirts, and we have a couple of these awesome Nismo hats left in stock. So make sure to head on over shop.forsbergracing.com to grab our last pieces.
Les just told me the other week he's been in that shop for 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, they've probably been over there for like 30 plus years, just like, and the place looks like it was there for a lot longer than that, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But it was funny, we would walk over there and just like, be like, oh man, like, I really need a piece of 1/4 inch thick by 4 by, you know, about yay long to make this bracket, and they'd be like, oh, over there.
Yeah.
They always had the weirdest
it's right here.
metal, because they do like, not sculptures, like structure type stuff, like fencing, and so they always had a lot of plate, a lot of not like tubing, but like
flat
rod,
bar.
rod, flat bar, plate, steel, things like that. And so we could always find like a weird piece in a pinch.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I won't miss.
They did save us quite a few times.
I will not miss the terrible parking.
No, the terrible parking.
They were just the cul-de-sac turned into a parking lot.
It did.
No joke.
It did.
It's like rigs would come down to drop off motors. They can't even turn around. It's just like 17 pickup trucks like trying to pick up
triple
fences.
Parked. In a cul-de-sac.
Triple deep down the driveway.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I'm kind of glad they're gone, but.
Yeah, I'm not upset that they're gone. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, keep the trucks a little cleaner once the construction's done, at least.
Yeah. Our stuff's staying pretty tidy now.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we got the E30 and then the E36.
Yep.
Now you're starting to drive Nissans. That's fun.
Yep. It is fun.
And then but yeah, so where did Kelco come from?
So Kelco, which is like on my race suit, which the actual name is Kelco Motorsport. I just dropped the Motorsport for the logo, but it's so my middle name is Kelly, and it's basically just a play on that, on Kelly and Company.
That's good. That's good.
You know, squish them together. So I did it for. I wanted it to be something that was like a little bit of anonymity from it, like not completely. I didn't want to be another guy that was just like Jackson Orr Racing,
Forsberg Racing. I get it.
I mean, it's like it's a very easy way to name your stuff, though.
It is,
but you know, it has its drawbacks and benefits.
Yeah, maybe when your last name's Orr.
Dude, I was
like,
gonna do
what about Orr Racing? I would love to go racing. Yeah, you know, we could work with Orr Racing. Well, drifting maybe, like I guess Orr Racing.
Or racing, or motorsports in general.
Have you tried Orr Motorsports? Tried what?
Motorsports?
Of course you tried motorsports. What else?
I was gonna do like, I might still. I need to like trademark this video or something if that's even possible. But I was.
Oh boy, NBA. All right, big bleep.
I was gonna do like or what or something like, because I used to have people do that to me all the time when I wore sports jerseys. I used to play sports when I was a kid, or when I was like all the way through high school, and it says "or" on it, like, and every guy who thinks he's the smartest, funniest dude on the planet walking behind me is like, or what? And I thought about actually doing something with that, but anyways, funny. So that's where Kelco comes from.
It's good.
And, yeah, it's something that I'm kind of trying to slowly build something out of it. Like I'm obviously interested in doing merchandise stuff in the future, and just kind of building something that I enjoy, because like obviously I want to make a career out of it. I want to make a living out of it, but it's not like now, and I'm not focused on like making it so I can make a living out of it. It's more like a passion thing, and I want it to just turn into that because I want to make it something that like if I was a drifter, which I am, if I was a drifter and I was, I wanted to go out to the track or have a cool car that I could go thrash and do these things, like I wanted to be something that I would like. Like I don't want to make something that I think would sell well necessarily that I don't feel passionate about. So I think it's important.
Yeah, no, that's a huge part of it. That's like what I just talked about in a recent video. Is like yeah, you need to have like that drive. You need to have that motivation. It's and what is that, right? Like everybody has a different pitch. Everybody has a different product. Yeah. And so that's like the hardest part is kind of like narrowing down. And believe me, I have. This isn't a brag. It's just like I wake up in the middle of the night and like my mind's just racing. I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. What if I do this? What if I do that? And it's like, just always trying to think of the next thing. And then there's like the pros and cons of that is like, the pros is like, okay, I got all these great ideas. The cons is like you struggle to like narrow it down to one of them and focus and get that one done, right? And like that can be like a writer's block, if you will. Of like, like I want to do all these things, but I'm not doing almost any of them because I'm too busy like trying to figure out how to start each one or too nervous to start one without the other, and like so there's a lot of for sure. Like I was saying, like pros and cons to like trying to build up your basically like your pitch yourself, your company, whatever it is that you're trying to sell. It's like you got to have that confidence to just be like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I'm going to offer.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like analysis paralysis kind of thing because it happens with it happens with building a car. Every time you do something and you stand back for a second, you're like, what if I did it differently?
Yeah, I really wish I did that instead.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And it's like immediately like you weld something, it's like you have regret.
Yeah, should have changed that. Yeah.
Is there a thing called like welder's regret?
Welder's remorse.
Where it's like like buyer's remorse.
Yeah. I think that's when you forget to put your helmet down before you weld. That's welder's regret.
Ow!
Flash yourself.
Sandy.
I don't know what this black dot is that keeps following me around everywhere I look.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've ever wondered what it's like to weld with a welding mask that has a low battery,
oh man,
go stare at the sun for about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And let me know how that goes for you. Yeah. And note, do not stare at the sun for 3 seconds.
We do not support this message.
Big disclaimer. But yeah, like outside of that, like so. Yeah, we got like our program that's kind of going. We got, you got your space. Farron's in there. We got some like builds, some ideas, some projects. We got the your Pro-Am car. We got our Pro-Am car coming together.
Yep.
And then the other thing that we've been doing recently, and what we're doing like here in a few minutes, is off-road.
Yeah.
Yeah, been stoked on the off-road.
Oh yeah. I love that stuff.
You didn't send me a photo. You posted I think a photo on your story of your Cherokee.
Did I? Oh, I did.
Yeah.
That one's...
I saw that and I was like, oh, he misses.
I did. Yeah, I do.
So what is that?
I was going down memory lane. That one actually doesn't... I don't have that one anymore. That's the one that got away. That's the one.
Monica!
It's actually not even because that thing was in all reality a clunker, but I was the 10th owner of that Jeep. It was a Jeep Cherokee, 2001. 10 owners in 22 years.
Oh my God.
Which is absurd. 270,000 miles, and it sounded like it had rod knock, but it was just the valves this far. But anyway, so I actually
just go boom.
It goes away. I like put diesel oil in it and quieten it down, all the stuff.
Diesel oil is a great oil.
It is.
We use that a lot.
It's good stuff.
We used to run that in the VKs.
Really?
1540, yeah.
Nice. What, like Rotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to get like we used to get Rotella, and there was, what was the other one? Not Shell. There was like another brand. I forget. This is before we were with Valvoline. Yeah. We're just driving down the street, just literally buying because we're like, we got this dry stuff. It takes 1 million gallons of oil, and Ray with the MA is like, let's just put diesel oil in it. Yeah. I was like, all right.
It's
never had an issue.
It's thick. It can withstand. I mean, it literally is
zero issues
to tow 60,000 pounds with and support an engine that can do that. Like,
yeah, and we had a V8 quad cam V8 that would rev to 9,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Never a single failure due to oiling.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. We dropped a valve once or twice, but because we were like figuring out like ECUs and rev limiters, right?
Yeah.
Because the engine would rev good, but like if you like slam the limiter for more than like 3 seconds, it would go nuts.
Yeah.
And so we went through like 3 different ECU packages until we finally landed on Motec.
Right, yeah.
Weird. And then no more problems.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, that was back in like 13. Yeah.
Dude, those VK cars were so sick.
The
VKs are still so sick. The one that we got floating around still, the M, is awesome.
I love it. It sounds so good. Yeah, you've been shredding that thing around too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been letting me drive a lot of cars in the fleet. Pretty dang cool. I've had some really cool opportunities this year. Well, last year, I guess. Mm-hmm. Hoping to have really cool opportunities this year. Yeah.
It's a clean slate. You're done.
You gotta start over. You gotta prove yourself again. But no, the M, it's a cool car. It's got it's not quite the pro car level of like motor, but it's pretty rowdy.
Very close.
Yeah.
It's very close. I say very close. It is missing the literal the unicorn parts that make that pro car motor so good.
Yeah.
But from the outside, it looks the exact same. It's got the ITBs. It's got the big tri-Y headers.
Yeah.
And it has big cams. Got ported heads. High compression. Rods, of course. All that. It has all those pieces, but what it doesn't have is the dry sump that is required because of the timing chains, gears, and tensioners to run the big chains rev it to 9 grand.
Oh, okay.
So that thing has the same compression, porting, everything outside of 3,000 extra RPM.
3K more RPMs, yeah.
Which that's a lot.
That is a lot.
So it makes good torque, but it's got 250 horsepower on the table.
Right.
If you just keep spinning.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it would never last. I'd say 3,000, more like 2,000. I think revs are 772.
I think it's 7,000, yeah.
Yeah. 72. And we would, at Irwindale and the spicy events, we would set the limiter to 9,000.
That's so
And
sick.
it would be hitting 92 on the limiter.
Yeah.
It was mental.
I remember the sound of that car. I never saw it in person actually, but the sound of that car just in a video was absurd.
Oh yeah.
I can only imagine what that was in
monster.
person, but
It's such a cool car. And so once again, it's developing vehicles and programs and setups throughout the years, suspension changes, drivetrain changes, engine changes, just trying to come up with the next good package. And it's interesting because I want to hear from you when you got into drifting, what year did you learn about drifting?
Probably, dude, this is gonna put a lot of perspective. Probably 2013, 14.
Okay.
Honestly, I was 13, 14 years old.
So you learned about it then, yeah. We forgot to mention, Jackson's very young. And maybe he's not. Maybe he's your age. He's young to me.
Yeah, young. Young in the grand scheme of the scene in reality. So.
And so you learn about it in 13. How long until you bought your first drift car?
So I learned about it in 13. I wouldn't say that I was a fan right off the rip. I would watch it highlights on YouTube, and then 15 or 16, I would watch it, and I got to be a fan, and then so that progressed until I went to college. Dude, I didn't buy my first car until 20. It was right before COVID shut down the whole world. So 2019 was when I bought my E36 with the purpose of building a drift car.
2019.
Yep.
And so, how easy would you say it was to build that car with the information that was out there?
Dude, so easy. Honestly, so easy. Something that you and your generation, you, Vaughn, Turek, all the OGs, and all the guys that have stemmed off of that with produced parts, Rad Dan's got a whole catalog of parts at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All the guys that produce things. Chelsea's super big with BC and always developing things, and Anglican companies and stuff. Literally made it to be a point and click affair. And I made it harder on myself because the chassis I built off of wasn't really all that good of bones to start with. Mm. So I mean, I bought it in the Northeast. Like, I bought it in Cleveland. Every time I look back on it, I was like, what were you doing? But yeah, I bought a car in Cleveland, and if you've ever seen Cleveland in like November to early April, it's completely covered in snow and salt. So obviously it was rusty. So it involved, there was like literally half the time it took me to build that car was just like metal working and stuff like that, like unnecessary.
Well,
stuff.
that's just like, yeah, that's just like labor for a rusty chassis. Like people find those all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like as far as like the building of the car, like what I need to build a drift car and like how you want to level it and scale it, right? Or did you go straight to like the full Monty?
I didn't. Well, man, the build actually took place. So I mentioned I bought it right before COVID. Mm-hmm. The build took place over the span of 2 years, with COVID being 6 months of that, with me being out of the state from that car. So 6 months of nothing happening on this car, which I really wish I had, because it would have been done. Because like, what else was I gonna do?
Building your first car is always gonna take a lot.
All right, yeah, exactly, and you learn, so everything's taking 3 or 4 times as long. You take forever, and whatever. So, it took place over 2 years, and obviously the plan changed over those 2 years. Because originally I got it, and I was like, it came like with, it was a shell, and it came with the engine, like a turbo M50 with like a ZF trans, and I needed like a couple of parts. It actually came with a parts car that burned down from the front forward. So the whole cabin, everything of that was charred. And literally at the firewall, the hood, the front clip forward, everything was perfect.
What?
So it had a good engine, good subframe, good trans, engine harness, ECU. Like that engine is actually still in one of my buddy's cars. Like the exact same.
Fire.
Yeah.
A literal car fire.
Yeah. So I got the cars in a package deal, right? Mm-hmm. I was going to take 2 and make 1. And originally I was going to do like an extended lower control arm, cut knuckle, welded diff. And then I told my dad that I was buying this car. And at that point, my dad was like, he still is like really insistent on me being as safe as possible. And he was like, I want you to put a cage in that car. I was like, I don't need to put a cage in it. Like, I'm just going to drive it and like blah, blah, blah. It's like, no big deal. I don't need to put a cage in it right now. And he was like, I'll give you half the money to buy a cage, like a kit, or like figure out how to put a cage in it.
It's very dad-like.
Yeah, and it was awesome. It was so cool. So it was also probably where the build went downhill. So shout out to Dad for that one. But anyway, so he helped me get this cage. I bought like a Injuku cage kit and started with like pulling some stuff out of that car to get it ready to put a cage in it. And then it was like, okay, we pulled the carpet out. There's holes in the floor. And then it was like, it just progresses from there because like that was what it was going to be. And then that was taking a long time with the process of like learning. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And then COVID happens and I'm just working, making money. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even working on the car. So the plan is literally progressing as I'm at home. I'm buying like fiberglass quarter panels because I'm like, well, it's already kind of rusty back there. Like I'm already
cut them off.
Yeah, I'm going to hit it on the wall. It's going to be harder to fix.
Oh my God.
And actually at one point we had like, me and my buddy Frankie, who's come out and helped us before in the shop with some builds, him and I put a fuel cell cage in the back between the frame rails.
Yeah.
Because we were like, I had like a radium like 10 gallon that I was gonna put back there, and like it's really cool too how much you learn about drift cars as you're building one too. Because like I would never in a million years do that now, like ever, like
what
putting a fuel cell all the way in the back between 2 frame rails that are like this far from the back of the car.
Oh yeah, I did that once too.
yeah, once exactly. Yeah,
and then I hit a wall and the
whole
rails
like,
moved.
Yeah, so like squeezes it like a pimple. But so we had all that done, like this welded in strut bar, and cut it all out. And we were like, okay, we're not gonna do this. Because I basically decided to do fiberglass quarters, which you know what that ends up turning into.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, once you make the commitment to cut a car, like, literally in a third, cut a third of a car off.
You're like, what else don't I need?
Yeah, it starts to escalate, and you already have holes in your floor. Yeah. You're already doing all this fab work to put a cage in it. You cut the rear quarters off, and you're like, okay. So, I should probably put the radiator back there, because if I'm going to do all this work,
I got all this room.
I might as well do it once and do it right, because I do live by that motto. Do it once, do it right. But I would say probably like a year through the build was when it found its true direction of like I was doing like basic seat time car, and then it was like half Monty, and then I was like, why am I gonna do it halfway? I'm just gonna go full blow and do this. So, and I'm glad I did, because I learned so much on that car. Like, honestly, a lot of the skills I use every day at work, I learned on that car.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And it's the best way to learn too, because like, if I mess something up, the only person that's gonna be mad at me is me.
Yeah,
I'll be like, dang, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, see, it's funny because like you kind of like went like, so did you have another drift car?
Yes.
Okay.
I had the Corvette.
Oh yeah, the vet.
Yes. So well,
we might need to save the vet for another time. I don't want to skimp on the vet.
The vet.
Yeah. You guys know how Corvettes make great drift cars?
Oh yeah. They didn't in 1986. They did not.
Not the ones before.
You know how everybody talks about the C5 and the C6?
Yeah.
Nobody talks about the
guess
C4.
What? There were ones before those.
Can you believe it? They didn't just start the production of the car on the 5th one. But yeah, so I had that.
That's right, because I was gonna say, I'm like, you're basically breaking like every rule that I tell everybody, which is like, get a seat time car, don't overbuild your car.
Exactly.
And you got in the rabbit hole of building your car for 2 years.
And not driving, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did. So I think I had mentioned to you, or I told you just recently actually, which I thought I told you before, but I went to Chelsea's the School of Drift that Chelsea used to put on at Park.
Yeah, you told me, you didn't tell them.
Yeah. I went to...
You can tell me again.
I did go to Chelsea's drift school in...
Park.
Yeah, in Park. And that was probably in... that was like January of 2021. So basically a year from the point that I bought the car. Oh, that's funny. I've never lined that up, because I just outlined it like from a year into the build. I decided to do full Monty from that point on. So I think it was probably like 2 things happened after that drift school. So I went for like 3 days. It was like I did like 2 half days and then 1 full 6-hour day with Chelsea. And I mean, you know how it is learning from
you learn a lot.
Learning from a pro, you literally skip all the dumb things you could do. Mm-hmm. Like, you could spend so 12 hours of track time is what I did. I did 2 3-hour days and 1 6-hour day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could take you 2 years to get 12 hours of track time.
Oh my god, yeah,
like
100%.
And like learning all these things, like breaking axles, doing stupid stuff, having your tire pressures at 75 and 1 at 20, not knowing why the car sucks. It's like all the things like that.
Simple things that we just take for granted.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that for like 3 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just like, the wheels are on.
Yeah.
Why does it suck?
It works. Yeah.
Like, well, the tires don't match. You've never aligned your car once.
Yeah. Don't even know what
you don't even know what tire pressure is. Yeah. They're full.
Yeah, exactly. So it's streamlined a lot of stuff. And then like, I seriously feel like I progressed probably 3 years in 3 days.
I guarantee it.
And
yeah, I mean, we did the same thing with Letitia.
Yeah.
When we built that car, went out to the track, 2 days at the track, and by end of day 2, she was basically like linking AVS without spinning.
Right, yeah, that's incredible.
It was
progressing
nuts.
from not doing it at all to linking a full track. Yeah, it's seriously speaks to like learning from a pro and somebody that can just like do this, don't do that, and you'll see why.
And the car, right? Because you're driving his cars, right?
Yeah,
so his cars are prepped in a way that they are cohesive and they work with the power level and the tire, size and everything else.
Yep.
So same thing, like, we had a car that I had built for her, so it's like, I'm like, okay, this is like a perfect little like daily, ripper package to learn with, right? It was just a 370Z, but it had like, good handbrake, all the suspension, roll cage, and it was just like dialed, but like factory drivetrain.
Yep.
And it just like goes and goes and goes and goes and just
turns
mob freaking tires through that thing. Yeah, super cool.
That's the best recipe because like you said, when people come and ask you how to get into drifting, I tell them the same thing now too. I learned the hard way. I tell them the same thing. I'm like, simple. Like, the first thing you should do to a drift car is nothing. Yeah. And drive it.
Yeah. Well, I tell everyone.
Hold the diff.
Yeah. Best bang for your buck. Diff seat coilovers.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Diff seat coilovers.
Yeah. You have to lock up your rear tires. Yep. Seat actually is almost becoming less necessary because this was like my mantra, like when cars didn't have like good bucket seats.
Bolstered
like
seats,
350s like have decent seats in them. You can kind of forego And they even have like a torsion diff, which is like decent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can get a factory Z and like just go.
Right.
Bone stock.
Right.
But yeah, a proper diff, a proper seat, and then coilovers. Best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah, I agree. And that's like,
You can put all that in your car in an afternoon.
yeah.
Don't build your car for 2 years.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Go drive. Go drive. Because what I did after that weekend was, that's where the vet came in.
Yeah.
I went home and I was like,
I need a Corvette. You got your belt buckle out.
I put on my cowboy hat and my square toes and I went shopping.
It's funny because when you went to that school, your hair was about the length of mine, and when you left, it instantly grew.
It was long.
Corvette.
I got into the car and I got out and I had long hair.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, you went in with short, you came out long hair.
But yeah, that's where I came in after the School of Drift, because I was like, this is probably a bad idea to build a full Monty drift car.
You're like, I'm building a BMW. I just drove a sea of BMWs. I should get a C4.
Yeah, I was like, what's a good practice car? Nothing related to what I have.
What I'm building or what I learned with.
Yeah. So I honestly, it only worked out. And the only reason I did it was because it was together. Like the car already had coilovers, handbrake, angle kit, if you want to call it that.
Mm. So it was someone else's drift car.
Yes.
I wonder why he sold it.
Dude. Let me tell you about the guy I bought it from.
Terry.
This guy was, I should probably look it up to verify it, like 84 years old.
What?
Super old. Super old. I might be butchering it. If he ever sees this, he's gonna be like, well, I'm not that old. But Steve, who still runs
I was
the
about
Benz,
to say he like built his high school car into a drift car, but I don't even know if that math doesn't even math.
I don't think so. I think that would have been like his
like the
38-year-old car. I don't even know. I'm bad at math, but anyways, he built the car to drift it, and he did.
Oh my god.
He learned how to drift in that
This
car.
makes so much more sense.
Then, yeah, it's absurd. I mean,
It's like, how did you end up with a C4? You never mentioned you bought it from an 84-year-old drifter.
I don't know, that part seems to somehow like it could sneak under the rug, but
very important detail to where this car came from.
It's got a lot of character, or had a lot of character.
Oh yeah.
But he, shockingly, for reasons unknown to anybody, decided to sell it and buy a Z.
Oh, so the 84-year-old was wise enough to unload this on some kid who thought he could drift.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you went to a school? Buy my Corvette.
Buy this thing.
Ever heard of a Corvette?
It's fine.
Yeah. You've seen them in FD, right?
Makes a lot of power. Yeah. Dude.
Oh my god.
V8s, I don't know how many people out there in the world know how much power a V8 from 1986 made. It's just as much as a 4-cylinder from right now. It was like 160 horsepower. But
my god.
It was terrible. But that thing it was like 7.5 to 1 compression. It was an absolute slug, but it had like 330 pounds of torque.
Yeah.
It literally, for the first 2,500 RPMs, that thing was sick. And then it was just like...
Oh, it was like the KA before we fixed the cams.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much before I was shooting the boost back to the intake.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think I'm happy we made it to the C4.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were gonna have time. I don't even know how long we've been going here, but yeah,
either.
I think that's a good.
Oh, that camera's off again.